Hi, we're in the spotlight with a quintessential rider and no stranger to the dressage world, Wium Van Huyssteen. Welcome.
Thank you.
Did I even get that remotely right?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess the first question would be how did you get into riding and how did it change your life or your world?
I started riding when I was 12 years old. A colleague of my father, his daughter had a riding school, and the colleague was in racing. And one day, per accident, I went with her to the riding school, and I sat on a Friesian, and I just fell in love with it. And it was bareback, just a bridle on, and that's where it started. And yeah, it's never stopped. And I think that's where my love for the breed also started, because of how calm and easy and diligent they are.
Would you say that they are one of the calmer breeds?
I do believe that.
Because I've seen a few that are fairly high strung.
Yeah, they are, I think it is depending on how they started off as. I think in the industry, the traditional training can have a big influence in that. But I do believe the Friesians, their heart and their being is different. I think when they give everything.
And then sadly your parents passed when you were very young. I mean, that would rock anybody's world and spiral them into the biggest depression or take them off into new directions. How did that?
I think I was 15 years old and I had a lot of animals, and I've always loved pets, looking after them. So I think having the animals, I had 7 horses, I had bunnies, hamsters, rats, anything possible, just not snakes. I'm not a snake lover.
Me too.
And yeah, I think just having to look after them and making a plan to look after them, because no one could make a plan then. So I had to work and make plans to have them fed and looked after. And yeah, I think that kept me going and kept me not falling into a depression.
So again, on this subject, I think obviously everyone reacts in a different way. You carried on riding, and some people might have become a very hard, aggressive, angry rider because of all the feelings, or empathetic. Which way did you go and how did you end up going there?
I definitely think it made me work harder, never give up, pushed me. I always had...
Did you like beat some straw bales some days? I don't know, like sometimes you just go like whack something.
I think because I had to do everything myself, I had to clean the stables, so you got
Manual
rid of
work.
all that energy and that highly strung. So yeah, the horses definitely to me was a comfort. And I think being as a male, later on, you realize that your muscles are too strong and you had to learn to shut that down. And then that made me a deeper rider, to feel way more. But yeah, I don't think it made me go harder or stronger. It just made me work harder.
At school, I was blown away. You told me you studied 12 subjects. Yeah. I mean, that is just amazing.
The plan was to become a vet, and then life happened, and I studied to get a bursary. But then, because of situations, I realized that's not going to happen. So I had to ace all my subjects. But I think it was also a coping mechanism in my life at that stage. So I threw myself into the animals and into school. And yeah, I was not a party child. I was a student. I went to school for a reason, and I think that was one of the things. I knew what the reason was for school. I had to do it, and that's why I was there. I wasn't there to have a party and to have weekends and have fun. I had my horses then and pony club.
And then you did mention there was a period of time that you did slack off. When was that? Yeah.
So I matric, just before the end of matric, I realized that becoming a vet is not going to happen. And then I went, all these subjects, calm down now, why? But then I didn't know what the plan was. I knew I would want to go into horses, maybe go overseas, maybe go travel, I was not sure. And then a friend of mine went to Damlin Equestrian Academy in Eikenhof. And then she said, well, just go do that. It's just a year, just go see. And then I started with that, and it was just something to keep me busy. And then it actually changed my whole life, because then I went to Karen Portman's equine behavioral science course. And that's where I realized I have a love and a passion for remedial horses. And that's where I started my backing, because that's what I was when I started off. I was a backer.
So you're doing like problem horses and young horses.
Yeah, I think it is to figure out what they need and to listen to their
But when I say
whispers.
problem horses, that's like, it often we cause the problems.
Yeah.
They're not problem horses.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then that's how the whole journey started, being a backer and then working with problem horses. And I did that for quite a few years. And then per accident, I ended up at a friend of mine bought a stallion from Adelprach, Friesian stud in Potchefstroom, and she invited me one day there to go and visit there, and just because I love the Friesians. And then the girl that was doing the backing, she resigned, and then
Oh wow, perfect.
the door opened for me.
Yeah. And you were there for
9.5 years.
What is the biggest takeaway from that? I mean, you must have learned so much.
It was so much.
Try and give me like your top 5.
I started off as a backer there, and I started in April, and the next year I did my first essays in Shongweni, and I rode Prix St. George, and I had 6 horses to compete that year, elementary, novice, all of that. And what I definitely learned in the 9.5 years is the sky's the limit. For me, the owner of the yard one day spoke to me and he asked me, what is your dream? And I said to him, I would love to just be an elementary rider and ride each horse to the best ability they can do and my ability. And he looked at me and he said to me, you're a Grand Prix rider. And I laughed at him and I said, no man, that's just crazy, because no one sees yourself there. And it happened. And I would just be happy at that stage to ride elementary and do sitting trot properly, because that was a mission. Yeah.
Why did you leave?
Everything in life is in seasons. All good things come to an end, I believe. And it was time to go on my own and find myself.
So will you be coaching? Will you
Yes.
be, yeah?
The plan is not definite yet. The plan is still in process. I'm still trying to figure out who am I in this whole process. Being so long in such a great structure, you kind of lose yourself in it. And now I've got to figure out who I am and where I am in the industry and the dressage world. And
So
yes,
right now, who do you think you are right now?
I am someone that believes to be true to myself, to be a person that feels and listens and understands, not only to people but to horses. I want to be able to listen to the whispers they give, and that's my great passion right now, is to hear the whispering of the horses.
That's fascinating. It really is. And I think a lot of us miss the whispers. So I think the more people, the more of us can just take that beat and just try and listen. Because our horses they try and tell us so much, and I think we miss a lot.
Yeah, but it's because of life. Life happens.
It does. And someone has a bad day and they come back from work and they get on their horse and they're like, no room for whispers there. Who's your favourite top rider and why?
Obviously Charlotte. Charlotte is the sweetheart, I think, for everyone. Because I met Charlotte at Durjardin. I met Charlotte at World Equestrian Games, and she is such a lovely being. She's so down to earth. She's short, she is shy, she's reserved, and she's got no air to her. And that's what I loved about being at WEC that year, is I was behind the scenes. I could sit next to the warm-up arenas and watch these people train and ride, and I
listen
stayed.
to all the what people are
Yes,
saying
and
behind the scenes. And
the most amazing thing to me was they all just see themselves as riders, as another person. There's no air to any one of them. Ankie van Groenswink, Ankie, stood next to me, and I couldn't believe it's this lady. And she was just standing there chatting, no funniness to it. Edward Gold.
it's like the equine equivalent of George Clooney or something. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, they're real people.
And they're just human, and they love what they do, and they're just there. They don't think they're better than anyone else. But my ultimate favorite is Edward Gull. I love Edward Gull because he is just on his horse, and the way his horses move and train, I think, is inspiring. But just his softness in his body, it's absolute effortless when I look at him. I don't think it's always the perfect image of what a dressage seat should be.
In
But
what way?
I think how we were taught when we were younger: sit up straight, this, that. You have to sit.
Do you think
a
things are
certain
maybe
way.
changing a little
lot.
bit?
I think thanks to Niall Quirk that comes to South Africa, and his training and his eye, I think he's changed a lot in the industry
He's a
here.
very soft,
Yeah.
empathetic rider and coach. I've been fortunate also
Yeah.
to see his lessons, and fortunately I'll be doing one, yay, soon.
Exciting.
But what I did take away from that was his absolute gentleness and what you described as horse whispering, or listening to the whispers, and that's what it seems that
Yeah.
he does.
And what he taught me is, being a male, is to shut off your muscles and to ride with your bones. That's always so interesting to me. And when I could start doing that, only then
Not
could
this,
could I start hearing the whispers, and could I allow my horses to do the job, and I could just sit there without having backache in the evening, or uncomfortable,
or arms wrenched out of your sockets, or
So I think, thanks to Niall, he definitely changed the way I ride and the way I train.
So
completely.
did you train with him early on, or are you still training with him, or who have you been your coaches over the years?
Oh, coaches over the years. Started off with Michelle and Nicole de Toy, and they are absolute inspiration still to me. They're like sisters to me. And then Marianne Conlon. Marianne took me from a backer to riding Prix St. George within a year. So she taught me
Wow.
so much. And then Wium Van Huyssteen. I've got a lot of passion and love from what Wium has taught me, and then Niall Quirk. And then I've ridden with Andreas Halstrand and Jan Beemelman, and quite
A
a,
lot of people.
and
Do they all have a different ethos, or are they saying similar things together?
Similar things. I think all of them are on the same page. I just think some of them, their experience is way more. It's like Niall's experience. It's different, and also I think it's a personal. It's almost personality related. What they each give to you.
Yeah. So what is, there's highs and lows in everyone's riding career, life. What have you got any kind of like rib tickling ones, not like like tragic ones? Have you got any like stories that you can just go, oh my goodness, I can't believe that happened?
I think riding my Grand Prix, the one day, it was quite funny to me. I was riding and I was thinking in front of an international judge, and I was riding and I was doing this beautiful half pass to the left, and I passed C, and I started with my extended trot, and the bell rang, and I was very upset, and I turned around and looked at the judge, and I'm like, what's your problem? You missed the rainback at C. So I was in such a zone, and I can still today remember smiling and loving this moment, and everyone next to the arena, halt. So I forgot the rainback there.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget the rainback again. But yeah, there's been so many moments in the show arena where I just went, God, Wium, what have you done?
I think a lot of people have that.
And sometimes I laugh at myself. Yeah, a lot.
And
Yeah.
okay, so and your greatest one?
Definitely riding at SA's, the individual championships, the Grand Prix, and how effortless it was for me, how comfortable I got riding this test on this amazing warm blood Ferneel dairy from Adelprachstad that I rode and compete, and he taught me so much. And what he taught me was to make it less, to shut down completely and just feel the test and not ride the test. So yeah, I think that was one of my
Thoroughbreds, warm bloods, Friesians. A lot of people choose Friesians to ride for dressage. Have there been any Friesians that have actually gone on to kind of Olympic level?
So Cherie Burger from Adelprachstad rode Anders 451 at World Equestrian Games. And then
is it harder for Friesians to get to that to a certain point of excellence? They're there, but then just getting that bit above to, like, you know, to be complete. Yeah.
To me, they have the capacity within their hearts to do this, to do that level of sport, but their quickness, to me, that's where their bodies come in. I think the quickness in their bodies limit them a bit, but nowadays they breeding them so sharp, so quick, so talented. So I definitely believe that the Friesians will definitely get there soon, because they definitely have the ability. There's just one small thing they have to put together to get them there, I think. So yeah, Peter Spann, he trained Anders, and he's got a string of Friesians he competes, and he does really well.
If you were going to go shopping for a dressage horse, what would you look for?
Definitely for me, I don't think I'm the...
Okay, what would you look for you?
For me.
And what would you look for a client who is, say, kind of like novice-ish, intermediate?
Okay, so for me, it's definitely a horse with character. I like them feisty, I like them creative. I always say creative. Other people call it
I do art drawings.
Other people calls it
quirky.
Naughty. Quirky. Yes, I like them quirky, and they need to. The moment I get on them, I can feel their heart. That they feel like lions. They will go to the end of the earth for you. And I do believe it will be a warm blood type, warm blood cross Friesian. I've trained a few of them, and I absolutely adore them. They've definitely got the ability to...
Is it harder to bring thoroughbreds on in dressage?
I definitely think it is. I think it's a certain type of rider that can train a thoroughbred.
But why do you think it's harder for a thoroughbred to come on in dressage? Because I know there would be a lot of people with thoroughbreds watching this going, oh heck, that's the polite version.
To me, it's just my personal opinion. I think they are lovely horses. They're very clever. They're very sharp, but I think that is the downfall. They're too sharp, they're too quick, they're too clever. So the rider has to be so soft, so sensitive, so in tune to know where to adjust and what to put on and what to switch off, and how to manage that amount of energy that is in thoroughbreds, how to manage that in a test with a rider going, I'm going to ride a test.
And do you think, because a lot of thoroughbreds have come from racing as well, they've kind of got like pretty much the two speeds, is walk and
go
flat out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I think that is very tricky to train, I think.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Well, you mentioned your plans for coaching for the future, and we're really excited to have you on board for the quintessential rider as a coach. What are you going to be bringing to the table for your style of coaching?
I believe in staying true to myself and authentic. Training and riding to me is a thing of making it as simple as possible. Otherwise, riders get too up in their head, and even the coach get excited, and everyone's excited in the arena, and the poor horse gets excited, and everything gets tense.
Yeah.
So I would love to keep things basic and simple, and just the love of the animal and the love of the sport, because it's beautiful. It is like ballet.
So you're going to be doing novice, intermediate, and advanced, and Grand Prix, and a whole bunch of terms that I don't know because I'm a show jumper. But so you're going to be bringing everything to the table.
Yeah, I would love to bring everything to the table and to make riders realize that it's not that difficult. It's just a little trick, it's just a little tweak. Yes, you've got to put the work in, you've got to stay consistent in it, but it's not that difficult. It's not, my horse has got to do flying changes, that's a difficult move, or piaffe or passage. It's just something you have to figure out and play with. I think riders have to play with more things. And if you screw it up, it's okay. You've got the coach on the ground that can make it, put everything back in line for you.
Somebody mentioned something the other day, because I was saying how I applied what I'd learnt during my dressage lesson to being on an outright, and I was so chuffed because I was just really chuffed with the way the horse was going. And do you think that people should apply their training that they've learnt in the dressage arena, or whatever training, to, hacking is great, but there's, yes, some days they need a flop day, where, flop and eat grass, but do you think it's important that, because I don't think a lot of people necessarily take what they've learnt in the lessons and then actually they go, oh, we're going for an outright now.
Yeah. I always say to the people that I've taught, do everything. Go on a hack, go ride hills, but always remember why you're doing it. When you go on a hack, yes, it is to relax your horse, but it is to shape different muscles, to take the tension off, to relax. So if you're on a hack and you're playing with a little leg yield and you're working on throughness, and then you leave the horse again to relax again, I think that's a brilliant idea, because there's no tension, there's no set arena. Okay, I'm going to do the job now. So I think it's way easier for both the rider.
They're more forward going as well on the outright.
Yes.
So
and more enthusiastic.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, thank you so much. It's been amazing to chat to you. I've loved this. It's been one of the funnest interviews. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And that's us for the Quintessential Rider. I'm going to stuff your name up now. Please, just do it for me.
Wium Van Huyssteen.
Wium Van Huyssteen.
There we go.
Thank you so much for being on the Quintessential Rider, and we will hope to see you soon.